Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge NewsCon. I'm Chris Matthew. I want to welcome Karen Holton. She is a social justice activist and judge for Natural and Common Law Tribunal for Public Health and Justice. She is also an ET experiencer, educator, channel guide, and ascension coach. Her professional experiences include coaching, counseling, and public speaking. Karen, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing very good.
Good.
It's a conference is going great so far. I'm gonna be nice and worn out by the end, but that's okay.
You
Uh,
sure will.
looking forward to your presentation, Love, Sex, and Politics in Outer Space. I
Yeah.
mean, the name pretty much says it all, but we're looking forward to getting into this and seeing what this has to offer. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my camera off and turn this over to you, ladies and gentlemen, Karen Holton.
Okay, I'm just going to go to screen share. Communication. In all exopolitical endeavors, we do not hold a conversation as we think of it. These beings have the ability to run thought privately or publicly and can involve just a select few when desired. Body language can be an indicator of a topic needing sharing. We always ask the other beings if we can share common or group or private consciousness before attempting communication. This is like a psychic handshake, which also sets up personal and collective boundaries. I found it to be very interesting that adults have the ability to psychically shield their young, which includes forming boundaries until the children are mature enough to do this for themselves. Once we are welcomed into a conversation, then we share imaginings, and it's like running short shared videos within the mind's eye. We all communicate on a telepathic level. There is no speech. Communication is done by feeling, emoting, and imagining. Some gesturing is common, and some beings gesture more than others. Some emit little noises for emphasis, but mostly communication is inaudible. Composites of energy, personality, race are used instead of names to identify individuals. I have been telepathically known as impulsive, joyful helper human. They gave the name to me, I don't know. E.T. culture. Now we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into the culture. E.T. culture is love-based with emphasis on compassion, empathy, mercy, and is a feeling-based community rather than a word exchange or speaking community. There is no deception and no bullying. Unless we're playing a sport or a game, there isn't even any competition. Unlike us, they have never been programmed or brainwashed. They are totally free beings. Their culture is very peaceful, gentle, and kind with no emotional drama. This group of beings love social interaction and are always willing to offer understanding and support. Everyone strives for improvement, and different beings within this group are at different levels of awareness and technological proficiency. It is interesting to see how they have woven culture and sacred meaning into many of the more intense ship functions like travel and energy maintenance. For example, when the big ship needs to replenish its energy stores, the occupants willingly donate some of their life force energy. When the day for this process arrives, everyone takes a comfortable position somewhere on the ship, and we participate in ritual and meditation to release the needed energy all at once. The ship emits frequencies that sound like tones to help us to enter into a deep state of relaxation. Then the ship absorbs what it needs from our collective life force energy. This takes several hours and leaves us feeling quite tired. Over the next few days, we rest, we take light meals, and we use this downtime to celebrate the experience. On rare occasions, there are a few who do not quickly recover, and they are assisted to the healing chambers, which are used to stimulate our own ability to restore energy reserves. This spiritual event only lasts for a few days but is considered an enjoyable celebratory respite. Another classic holiday is celebrated when we move the big ship to another location. You can learn more about this from my upcoming book. Everything is based on harm reduction and love. No one intends to harm, frighten, or dominate. Those are human ways and not ET ways of being. Just as there is diversity as represented in their physical appearance, there is also a lot of variety in social customs, ways that ET bonds with others, and things to do for fun and entertainment. In my upcoming book, I will talk about how culture is also reflected in the economic system within the ship, which is resource or trade-based. But for now, I will say that culture is ever-changing as we meet and interact with the residents of other big ships. Similar to Earth customs, there are the gatherings to exchange fashion, foods, and news. Think of each big ship as a clan, and when we meet up with other big ships, it reminds me of clan gatherings. We exchange gifts, see old friends and family, meet new friends, experience new ways of doing things like hairstyles, dress, adornment, music, healing techniques, and career opportunities, etc. Many have similar cultures to ours, but are much freer and more respectful. There is no stress and no conflict. We all respect that we all have free will and free choice. Diverse sexual behaviors can also be freely learned and experienced because sex is considered to be just as natural as eating and sleeping. On the big ship, the environment is sex positive. There are many interracial relationships. They can be social, romantic, sexual, and reproductive. Some things are universal: the love for a newborn baby, the desire for community and celebration, and enjoyable sexual relationships. Physical presence versus non-physical. As far as I can tell, I'm able to visit the big ship in a few different ways: by location, consciousness transfer with or without the use of clones, and occasionally consciousness swap with another being. Available clones include one-size-fits-all, genetic copy, and the specialized or utilitarian. The one-size-fits-all is a fairly plain clone, and they all look the same. We can tell our friends apart, though, because of unique mannerisms, personality, energy, and social customs. However, the genetic copy is identical to the original. I have a healthy body, which is an exact but improved genetic copy of me on hold back on my home away from home, the big ship. The specialized utilitarian clones are used for doing the kind of work that would not be possible with our genetic or clone bodies. These heavy-duty bodies are designed to accommodate demanding forms of work within the ship, outside of the ship, or in other hostile environments. When we are taken by these E.T.s, we rarely take our physical bodies with us for two reasons. One reason is because it takes a lot of energy to split and transport our complete selves, mind, body, and soul to their far distant location. Another reason is because we are so toxic from our environment here on Earth. Without our permission, our bodies have been used as filters for all kinds of industrial waste like fluoride, chlorine, radiation, heavy metals, smart dust, Morgellons, etc. This is why physical and mental detoxification is so important if we are serious about making contact and gaining access to intergalactic experiences. Since our physical bodies are so toxic, we usually travel via consciousness transfer or do a swap of consciousness with another being who is physically already there. This allows us to work off-world while we sleep. And of course, there's going to be a lot more about that in my upcoming book. There's another method of instant transport There's another method of instant transport to any star system with and without physicality. I'm not sure how it works, but the off-worlders send a small sphere or an orb. It appears physically in front of the transportee, and then when you open yourself up vibrationally to it, you dematerialize and are instantly transported to the desired location. As far as I remember, I have never been transported this way, but actually I am open to the experience. Excuse me. We can also initiate the consciousness transfer experience through etheric travel, lucid dreaming, lucid consciousness, and remote viewing. And E.T. knows when we are there. Last February 2020, I went back to visit my friends on the big ship. As I ethereally floated down the hallways, the beings looked up and directly at me and sent me telepathic messages of greetings and love. I was totally delighted. And I'm sorry to disappoint the nuts and the bolts researchers, but I saw no evidence of direct physical pickup of humans from Earth with a spaceship. So now let's get a little bit into everyday life aboard the big ship. Everyone is in perfect health. There are healing chambers to prepare the body for life on the big ship and before we go on to expeditions to selected planets. Each planet is unique and presents different stresses to the body, so we must prepare for variables in atmosphere, gravity, nutrition, etc. Since many of us also have subtle differences in our physiology, the healing chambers keep our bodies or our clone bodies in perfect health while we are aboard the big ship. I remember the first time I used a healing chamber. I was led to a large room with about 100 of these devices lining the room in circle within circle formation. Each one was cylindrical in shape, and they open up like a clamshell. Most were about 8 feet long and had lots of room inside, but some were a lot longer and a lot bigger, and I wondered if they were designed for giants. I climbed in and I was surprised at how comfortable the moss-like padding was. I laughed a bit as I compared it to a big coffin in my mind's eye. I don't know why, that's just what came to mind. Once the top section closed, the internal lights dimmed. I suddenly felt a bit sleepy and very relaxed. I was aware of some gentle tones, which reminded me of classical music. The air was very moist and fresh, and it made me think of the smell of a forest. I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I knew, the top lifted, and there was my friend smiling down at me, offering me a handout. I gotta say, I felt fantastic. I looked to my friend for an explanation and soon realized that I was treated with various frequencies of fragrance, sound, light, and other vibrations. My friend is one of the many beings who were born on the big ship, and most live their whole lives there, never resettling on any planets. One of the training and immigration options they offer us is to resettle on board the big ship. Now, not every big ship has the same culture, but the intention is pretty much the same for all: tolerance and compassion, love and cooperation. They use a resource or trade-based economy. There is no money and everything is provided for free. Instead of attending an assigned job or paid job, time is spent pursuing our passions, and beings choose the career they wish to pursue. There is much trade within the ship and with other ships, and everything we want or need can be 3D printed, similar to a replicator, but it is only for creating inanimate objects. Still, culture requires its symbols, and trade definitely brings enjoyment to many. And in this way, we are very similar. The ship is biological. It is made up of many different sections or cubicles, which easily convert depending on your intention. And yes, the ship is also psychic. Each section has everything for every purpose and just folds out according to your intention. Everything is automated. Even the doors respond to your intention. Food, though, is never replicated. It's not like a Star Trek experience, not really. There are some small similarities, but the reality is more advanced and certainly a lot more eco-friendly. So now I'm going to speak to social life. The ET beings are very social. We get together to eat at low tables, seated on the floor or while reclining. Each table raises from the floor and it has both heat and chilling technology for food preparation. Food is completely fresh because it grows everywhere and in every department. We form a relationship with the living nourishment, and many people love to prepare cuisine in various ways to make it beautiful, entertaining, and delicious. The baths are also greatly enjoyed. The baths serve as a relaxed community interaction and also serve as nutrient and healing to our bodies. We are all naked. They are not obsessed with body type. We like water, and so do other races of humanoids. While bathing in the subdued light, we fall into a collective psychic meditation, which completely relaxes everyone physically and mentally. Most of us enjoy grooming, and sometimes we like to groom and touch those we feel closest to gently while bathing. Everyone is very psychologically open, relaxed, and social with little communication. Bath time is familial, loving activity. After our morning bath, some of us gather to assist with hair design, body adornment, or personal grooming. And so now I'll just say what we do basically on a day-to-day basis. Well, everyone enjoys education and training. If you're an ambassador, you attend exopolitical meetings, and this is usually when I give rationales for human behaviors. If you are a visitor, you may wish to add your culture and wisdoms to the data banks. If you are a resident or wish to pursue residency on the big ship, there is scientific research, ship maintenance, and assistance with the ship's evolutionary processes. And there are many different kinds of jobs, from utilitarian to highly technical. If you are involved in the intergalactic resettlement program, you will experience scientific expeditions onto other worlds where we measure potential ecological footprint, etc. And of course, we love each other. Most of the resident beings were born on the big ships and live their whole lives on board, which would be like living in a mega city. Guests like myself use the big ships and the company of these beings to participate in exopolitical ambassador work, intergalactic resettlement, training, etc. ET residents do research, serve as hosts and educators and tutors, scientists, engineers, and of course, social support workers. The atmosphere on the big ship is quite sex positive, but this changes when we are down on the planets doing the pre-settlement research work. We are so busy with our work on planet that we choose not to exercise this action. But when we're back on the big ship, the culture is generally very sex positive. In space, pure love is everywhere, and although it permeates everything, sex, romantic love, and reproduction are not necessarily connected. When understanding off-world culture, you must divide the human concept of sex into categories: love, sex, and reproduction. Sex for reproduction is more technical than sex for orgasm and requires some preparation time. Sex for orgasm is considered part of healthy living, like eating and sleeping. It helps beings to form stronger bonds, has a healthful influence on the body, and provides the pleasurable rush of hormones and chemicals to refresh the mind and the spirit. I noticed that there are two kinds of orgasm: physical and psychic. Psychic sex is way easier to participate in because it does not require us to figure out biological or cultural differences and preferences. Psychic sex is more intense than physical orgasm because it involves a body, mind, soul connection. So you need to understand more about how ET exists. They exist in literally a state of bliss. The beings on board the big ship often exist in a state of bliss, which includes feelings of perfect happiness and spiritual joy. Achieving and maintaining a state of bliss is easy when beings experience comfort for their bodies, mental happiness and contentment, along with a joyful spirit. Even on Earth, this three-component state of bliss creates a magical condition, and it has been scientifically proven that this feeling has a positive effect on the strength of our heart's Taurus energy field, as well as the wellness of many other bodily systems, both physical and energetic. The same is true for ET, since they are very much like us and are at our next stage of evolution. And I'd like to just read a quick quote here from the Heart Math Institute. The heart is, in fact, a highly complex, self-organized information processing center with its own functional brain that communicates with and influences the cranial brain via the nervous system, hormonal system, and other pathways. These influences profoundly affect brain function and most of the body's major organs, and ultimately determine the quality of life. As above, so below. This is true for all humanoids, including ET. Love. Closely aligned with a state of bliss is love. In ET culture, everyone loves everybody. Every being accepts everyone as they are and honors their life journeys. Everyone has the chance to learn, change, and evolve. There is no judgment, and everyone focuses on creating a truly loving environment. When beings achieve the ability to love unconditionally, they see their world soften, and others become more loving and accepting as a result. With the dominant theme of love, everyone can just relax and trust that everything will be all right. In outer space, there is no use for bad feelings, resentment, or a need to construct past wrongs from memory. All beings aboard the big ship prioritize self-love and take good care of their bodies, mind, and spirit. True love stems from self-love. Until we master self-love, we do not truly know what it means to love others. Up until this point, most humans merely exercise illusionary love, but ET knows how to put themselves into the very center of their circle of care. You might be wondering, how is love considered culturally aboard the big ships, and what are its components? Well, this is what ET love looks like. It looks like kindness. ET beings strive to be on good terms with everyone, and they are very good at exercising kindness. Kindness makes everyone feel of value and is a good way to pay forward blessings. These beings have long recognized that good things happen for those who exercise kindness, which is drawn back into their life experiences. Goodness. Goodness is excellence of moral quality. And since my ET friends communicate telepathically and are very energy sensitive, everyone thrives in this atmosphere of safety. Goodness stimulates honesty, fairness, and personal responsibility, and personal excellence. By practicing goodness, everyone enjoys peace and contentment, and ET understands that this increases their value as physical and spiritual beings. A common nonverbal greeting on board the big ship could be translated as, be good to yourself, be good to others. Peace. ETs are spiritual beings who are at peace with themselves and others. Telepathic communication eliminates misunderstanding and conflict, so everyone experiences their own truth and communicates their truth without fear of reprisal. Everyone has a unique perspective and deserves respect for what they know. Finding mutually agreeable solutions lifts relationships to a higher level and makes life very rewarding and satisfying. They exercise compassion for self, and compassion for others comes naturally as a result. Mildness. Mildness is closely aligned with patience and usually takes practice for humans, but this seems to come naturally to off-world beings. I saw no evidence of the stages of discontent which could lead up to conflict. Mildness not only fosters trust, it allows a state of being where everyone can think clearly and rationally. There is no cultural concept for rudeness or aggressiveness, so everyone can have free choice as to whether they want to or do not want to participate in any particular dialogue or situation. Mildness allows for compassion towards others who unintentionally act in ways which are foreign to their culture. Mildness makes room for mercy. Patience. Like mildness, patience is a given on the big ship. Patience allows room to really understand people and to assess all the nonverbal cues, which can be an important part of their message. Patience is the hallmark of the emotionally mature status of E.T., and patience makes true compassion possible. Faith. Faith is the assured expectation of things not yet revealed. And since these beings do not face internal or external threats, they freely contribute to the culture of other beings. While freely expressing themselves, they easily see the good in others and the positive aspects within challenges. Faith allows for forgiveness, optimism, and perseverance. Self-control. Self-control is different from patience in that it gives beings the choice to self-govern their thoughts, words, and deeds. E.T. has mastery over self-control, which is necessary to exercise all of the components of love, like joy, peace, kindness, goodness, mildness, patience, and faith. In off-world culture, self-control is closely aligned with self-soothing, which is an important way to show mercy to self. Soon, humans will learn that all of these practices must be directed toward the self before they can be shown outward to others. Off-world beings are very aware that we are all connected. Maintaining a loving attitude. Since the 1990s, we on Earth have been inundated with postmodern thought, which tears down obsolete and destructive ways of thinking. This gave rise to a very critical analysis of society called deconstructionism. We see this in ridiculous extremes here on Earth today. Although it had its place, the flaw in this type of analysis is that it is anti-productive to positive creativity and growth. One can spend so much time going down one rabbit hole of analysis after another that the joy of being creative beings is forgotten and lost. This leads to much unhappiness. In sharp contrast, extraterrestrial beings focus on what is creative, healthy, and inspiring. They take responsibility for themselves and the collective. Concepts of social acceptance, fear-based thinking, or competition simply do not exist. Desire, peace, and harmony are components of everyday life off-world. An important part of E.T. culture is self-love, which includes spiritual, environmental, and personal self-care. Spiritual self-care includes feelings of gratitude and appreciation, and they are always open to accepting unconditional love. Their environment on board the big ship is always emotionally peaceful and physically grounding. As mentioned before, the big ship itself is alive and it emits frequencies which are conducive to health and positive mood. The foods that we eat are alive, and they grow in every department, which provides a very grounding environment, similar to what we would experience here on Earth when we're out in nature. Further, every morning we go to the baths, which provide a personal and collective grounding environment.